I'm just starting. Angie Byers, do you know who that is?
Hey, Annika.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, how are you doing?
All right. Hi, Steven.
Good evening, Ian. Good to see you. Missed you last week.
Yeah. I was in the throes of another call.
Ah. Hi, Annika.
Hi, Stephen.
Hey, Kitty.
Hi. Oh, Ian, I got a check in the mail today, and I assume it's for you guys.
Is it for 700 or for 1,000?
700.
Great. You're going to be receiving another check for 1,000 fairly soon. The 700 is for the Reflections project,
Right.
and I'll kind of talk about that a little bit tonight if we have time.
Okay.
And then, Katie, I have a check for you as well for $129.
Uh-huh.
That's for Dubcat as well, and that's for the end of our project from the Oregon Heritage Commission.
Okay.
So it's the remaining balance from that grant. So I can give that to you whenever.
Okay. $720.
What's up, Chris? How's it going?
What's up, everyone? Good evening.
Hi, Chris.
Hey, Nand.
Seven. Hi, Christy. Hi, Angie. Thank you for joining us.
Hi.
Ooh. Hi, Vincent.
Wait, there's no having fun here, Vincent.
I was going to say, you should apply the Steven cam where it goes in and out the whole time. Well, that's better than Zoom bombing any day. You're on mute. We can't hear you, bro. How did you do it for the mute?
It's autofocus, so it's desperately trying to make me look presentable.
All right, I'm getting some peeps in here.
Yep, we'll wait a couple more minutes. I think Thea and Brad should be moseying in a few. Katie's here. There she is. None. Travis said that he's unable to join us this evening. We'll think of him fondly. Eddie, I'm not sure. I saw him, but I don't know if he's working late, but thank you everyone else for being here. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and our Margarets aren't here either yet.
Vincent, you may want to mute your line because we're getting some audio from your sunroof, I think.
Oh yeah, it's not open, but I'd be happy to.
Angie, is this your first Zoom meeting with us?
It is. My sister,
Yay!
my sister Amy's joining us as well.
Hi, Amy. Welcome, and thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, glad for the opportunity to do so.
Well, I guess we should just chit chat a little bit since we have a couple people we were going to wait for. Since this is your first meeting, I'll open it up to public comment. Is there anything that you would like to communicate with us or let us know, or anything going on? Anyone? Angie?
I'm just interested in kind of what the council does. This is my first. I've been in the neighborhood about a year. We just bought a home about a year ago, and just kind of learning. First time owning in the Whitaker.
Cool.
So it's not, this exists, and I want to see what it's about.
Yay. Well, good. Well, I'm glad you're here. And you got in while the getting's good, so.
Good.
Timing. Perfect timing.
Good.
Well, give them a couple more minutes. It's only 7:04. Eugene time normally dictates at least 10 minutes late.
Whitaker time.
Whitaker time. Sorry, one or the other.
Hey, Chris, can I tell you just a bit of business?
Yeah.
I checked the post office today, and I hadn't done it in a couple of weeks, and our annual fee was due, and so I just went ahead and wrote a check.
Okay.
Signed it up by my little self.
Okay.
Because I was a day late and I wanted to get it in.
Okay.
Good. Just so you know.
Yeah, and I should be meeting with Steve tomorrow, so I'll have more information. I contacted him a couple times, but I want to finish it off by tomorrow, hopefully.
Do you want me to email you an invoice that you could present?
Oh yeah, if you don't mind, please.
Okay.
And then I can just give it to him. I'll print it out.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, I went there yesterday to talk to him, and I called him today. I was just unable to get in touch with him.
And I just put it $500 a month.
Well, yeah, and I mean, and hopefully he'll be able to take over a month-to-month lease with them. Since he's the sole use of that parking lot.
I could make it an invoice for the second quarter and just make it for $500. That would be April, May, June.
Yeah, I think that
would come out looking like a good deal for him.
Exactly. And I told him, and he knows all about this. So this is just going to make an easy transition, I think, especially because there's going to be new businesses over there.
Right.
And it'll save us a little bit of money on insurance too. Not that that was actually a bad risk. Neither one of those parking lots ever cost us any money. As crazy as it was.
And I don't think that we have to have insurance for Ian's grant proposals. But it's only $58 a month.
Huh. Is that figured into the grant? Or
Nope,
is that
that
part?
wasn't a
Oh,
part of the, that
uh,
wasn't a part of the grant budget.
what's up, Thea?
Hello. I got
Hello.
all your videos. Thank you.
I mean, and we don't have to talk about those on here.
No,
That's-
you and I will talk later.
Yeah, that's just a shame. Well,
We told him it would happen.
we did. Well, I'll just start it off. I'm hoping Brad's going to join us, but welcome everyone to our weekly installment of the Whitaker Community Council meetings. We're not sure how much longer we're going to do the weekly meetings, but as long as there is some momentum and actually things that we need to talk about, I don't mind. I don't want to force everyone to be able to make it to every single week, but at least twice a month is good for us. I'll open it up once more since Thea's here. Is there any public comment that maybe anyone has? How about you, Thea?
I do, but I have to go give my husband his grilled cheese sandwich real quick. So
Okay, you go ahead. Christy, I saw there was some craziness going on in your neighborhood the other day. Wow.
That was uncomfortable.
I bet. That is so nuts. What a really strange time. Dangerous.
Yeah, it was uncomfortable.
I know. I watch your videos. Or your video.
Chris,
Yeah.
are you referring to Isaiah Wagoner of gosh, what is it? Is it Black Unity?
Black Unity.
Yeah, being hit by a vehicle.
Christy lives in the complex where the gentleman who was the perpetrator of the violence lived and
He's
was
2 doors down.
right outside her window.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean,
If it were just me, it wouldn't have bothered me as much, quite. But I have a 25-year-old here who has autism, and it didn't go over well.
yeah, there was a lot of commotion and sound and
A lot of cops, a lot of angry voices.
a lot of drama, lots of anger. Well, hello, Thea. We were just talking about some light topics while you were gone.
And where's our grilled cheese?
Well, it's turkey grilled cheese with tomato and mustard.
Oh my
Would you like to see? It's very fancy.
goodness!
Oh, wow.
So updates are, I have spoken with Parks and Open Space, and you will be very excited. They are considering parking lots as camp host spots. So when Chris and I met with Claire on Saturday, we shared the idea. She got excited, but Chris Gerard from Parks and Open Space, who is one of the supervisors, I said, would you consider having 2 to 6 Conestogas in parking lots, and they would be your park host, kind of like when you go to a campground, and maybe you could pay them to clean restrooms, open them and lock them, and make sure that no one camps around them. And Chris went, well, that's a really nice idea. I said, but it has to be in all the parks all around Eugene. And he went, let me think about that. So I have since heard from several parks people that that's been on the table. Claire also heard it was on the table. So real possibility for Conestogas in parking lots as a possibility. We are meeting with the mayor and the city manager. We're going to keep it small because we want to keep it focused. And we're going after that it takes millions of dollars to clean up. They just cleaned up the river, and they cleaned up 3 islands on the river, not the river banks, just the islands. And one island took 6 dump trucks alone. So that's a lot of money cleaning up. So I'm going to propose it of, let's get them sanitary housing, Ian's concept, sanitary housing. I have gotten LTDs supervisor's number so I can reach out to them tomorrow and the board to see if we can get LTD to approve the lot that's next to them to possibly provide sanitary housing. And then I'm going after Reagan because she has 3 other spots that are possibilities. So we'll see what happens.
Hi, Susan.
Am I missing anything else, Chris?
Well, our communications with our city councilwoman were, I mean, we expressed that there was a need for a reallocation of funds for more training within the EPD, and also that having social services take care of some of the calls that were non-emergency would end up freeing the officers for life and death emergency situations. We expressed that. We expressed, you know, what the community was thinking, and you saw how they voted. So I think that's a work in progress in regards to working with the police. One of the things that she had suggested is, you know, continuing to try to work within the system, such as formulating policy within the police force. So, hi, Brad. That, and we expressed to her that, yes, we understand that this was before people were moving out of the park. We know that you're going to move people out of the park. It's not a very sanitary housing site. It's not, it's a problem at this moment because there's not enough resources for all the people that are there. And we understood this. Removing everyone from the park and not having a plan or a place for everyone to go was really, one, ill-timed with COVID spiking again, and then also fucking just detrimental to all these humans that have to fucking pick up their shit and, excuse my language, but to move again. And and Thea and I did not mince words when we were talking with her. And go ahead, Thea.
Well, and Claire did agree, because I said, Claire, we've been doing this for over a decade now. It's now time to get everybody in the room. We're tired of talking. And so she agreed that if Sarah Maderi doesn't agree to get the county at the table, because we need the county at the table, we need the homeless advocates at the table. The Eugene Mission is now taking 6 more people.
So
right now, the way
people.
12, we've housed 12 right now. And they might increase Skinner's, we'll see. But I said, we need everyone at the table. Parks and Open Space has agreed to be at the table. EPD has agreed to be at the table. The city has agreed to be at the table. We need the county and we need the homeless advocates at the table so we can say, you're not getting out of the room until you find spots that you're willing to put sanitary housing. Ian's got a question.
Did we vote on something last week
No,
as a body?
Nope.
no.
So what is the outcome that we're looking for from the meeting with Sarah and the mayor, and then also getting everyone in the room together?
Is to find other spots other than the Whitaker for microsites.
Yeah, and then also Sarah Maderi not having any idea what it really looks like down in the Whitaker seemed to have been a really eye-opening experience for John Ruiz, the previous city manager last time. Along these lines, speaking of getting everyone in the room together, I was contacted by Heather Salinki from Whitebird, who had received $25,000 for a grant to build Conestoga huts. I said, great. We have a spot in the park that the city's running with community supported shelters. Let's get them, involved. So Heather and I talked for a long time about it. She also was saying that she potentially has $200,000 coming from the Oregon Country Fair, which is a grant for housing or for something that has to do with the houseless community. So Heather and Reagan, and I think Peter, had a meeting. I haven't gotten the outcome of that meeting, but I would really like to have them start working together with the same type of model, and we can use community supported shelters, and we can have more people at that site, and hopefully have a funding source that will be beyond the next cycle, because that's all we have is one cycle, 1 year for the funding source for that property. And I think maybe partnering with Whitebird is going to be one of those revenue sources to keep that going, because what we don't want to do is provide more income insecurity for people. You know, we want to help people get off the streets, but we don't want to have to keep moving them around, because to be a member of the community, it's nice to be able to stay in one place and be in the community. You know, it's like Theo was saying, we're going to go down and meet them sometime, just as not like an official delegation, but hey, you're our neighbors. You know, I'm not sure there's been a lot of people that probably walked up to the huts and said, you know, welcome to the neighborhood. So it'd be nice to be the people that did that. Sorry, I think that opened it up a little bit too much, so forgive me for droning on. Those are the things that we were doing. Go ahead, Thea, I'm sorry.
The other thing we did, Ian and everyone, is that I asked Claire to commit that if the county refuses to come to the table, I've asked her to go publicly and call the TV and radio stations and say, we need you at the table. Because basically the county said they wouldn't use the fairgrounds, even though they're not going to use them for anything else this year.
1 year.
They're using them for nothing for a whole year, but they have showers, they have bathrooms, they have everything. So,
but they also have a very conservative board where we don't have an in with them, and that could be problematic. So if we do have anyone, go ahead, Ian.
Yeah, so I definitely have an in with the county. I think I might have missed some stuff from last week when I was gone from the meeting. So yeah, it's just going to take me a while to get up to speed, because I know a lot of stuff has happened in the past week. But yeah, once I have a deeper understanding of like what the strategy is and kind of what the outcomes we're trying to work towards,
yeah,
I'd be
I mean,
more than
we
happy.
want them to work together. I mean, we're a community organization where the city and the county and, you know, all of the nonprofits, they should already be on the same page. That's what's just been boggling my mind. That's where our conversations with Claire were just like, okay, so you kicked all these people out of the park. What's the end game in it? There is none. You know, there's no inclusion. That's why us as this community organization, you know, we have 6 people in our park. We have 6 people now in over by the Mission. So even working without the county and the city, which they need to be working together, we shouldn't be a liaison. We should just be an accessory to it, you know, at least for community outreach. But it's really troubling, you know. I think we droned on last week about, we knew this was happening and we knew this was going to, you know, come about. Anyone else have anything on this issue before we continue on? All right. Ian, you had some things that you wanted to go over?
Yeah, so it's a non-deny. This is coming from the Public Health and Safety Committee. We didn't get a ton of information, but what I did hear back from the Oregon Health Authority today is that the WCC has received, we've been selected for the Oregon Health Authority's COVID-19 funding opportunity for community relations. So there's going to be a follow-up email in the next couple of days outlining the specifics of our award and the work that we're going to be funded to do. So we can expect that email before July 8th. Per the motion from the board that was approved, we submitted 2 activities for funding, community engagement outreach and contact tracing. And the contact tracing portion of the grant was based on Anand's experience and outreach that he's done to his colleagues over at the Lane County Public Health Agency. So with respect to next steps, we still need to hear back from them. There's $900 for community engagement outreach startup funds, and there's $900 for contact tracing startup funds. And then we're going to need to wait and see how much we're funded in total. But the initial grant that we had scoped out was for $56,958, with the bulk of that going to contact tracing efforts. And going towards the infrastructure for outreach. And the outreach infrastructure are exactly what we had proposed to do previously, with billboards, with sandwich boards, with flyers, with third pagers, with social media messaging. And through work, I'm part of a group of social scientists that are using the most recent research on mask wearing. So we'll be able to hopefully have a deeper understanding of what messaging works to be able to get people to wear masks. The three different target groups that we're focusing on through the grant are elders, people who are unhoused, and renters. So those are the three sweet spots. And I imagine if I had it in a perfect world and we got funded, the three different contact tracers that we'd be able to hire would be able to represent those three groups. So we'd have someone to do contact tracing for and contact tracing for the unhoused community. But right now we don't know a whole lot other than we got funded for some amount. I'd be surprised if it was for the entirety of the amount that we wrote in the grant. But Anand and I definitely need support from the board to be able to move forward really quickly, because there's going to be a very short time period between when we get the funding and when we need to act on the funding. So a couple of next steps that I imagine we would need is to set up a meeting with Anand, myself, and any other board representatives. I imagine Katie, because she's the treasurer, to talk with folks at Lane County Public Health about training the contact tracers, as well as getting them I-9'd. So getting them hired by the WCC to be able to do contact tracing. And then if we get funded to do the outreach portion of it, we would need to get contracts drawn up and invoices for all of the printed materials and billboards and Instagram and other social media messaging. I know with Facebook now we might not do Facebook messaging or Instagram messaging, but that is to say that we're going to need to move pretty quickly once we get notification from the state. So by July the 8th at the very least.
Nice job, Ian.
I mean, it was Anand and I and everyone else too. So
Nice job, Anand.
Yeah, without Anand's help, we definitely would have been blind on this. And Anand has some specific insights into the knowledge that the Lane County Public Health Agency had about this. And I think, Anand, those are worth sharing, kind of the lack of knowledge and communication between the state and Lane County Public Health.
Yeah, that was very interesting, because my boss, Cindy Morgan, you're hearing this okay, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so my boss, Cindy Morgan, she had been involved in at least one of those info sessions, and her point of view on the matter was not at all what it was we were reading, because fortunately they wrote down what happened in the sessions, and she did not think that it was what it was they were writing down. So it was a really good thing we contacted her. She seems to be on board now, though. She asked me today if we'd gotten the grant, and at first I didn't know that we had, but Ian contacted me later and let me know that we had, and so I told her, and she was very happy about that. So hopefully this will make for a really good relationship. Exactly who's supposed to do the training, I'm not quite sure at this point. I think we're probably going to have to wait for the letter that they're going to send us in a few days. Hopefully it's going to outline things better. I'm looking at all the materials that both were with the grant and the stuff they posted up online, and it's good, but not that detailed. So I'm hoping that they'll give us both more information and information on who we should be contacting specifically. Obviously, yes, we'll be working with Lane County Public Health, but keep in mind this is an Oregon Health Authority project. So there's probably people there that we'll be contacting and be working with too. So we'll have to see how it all pans out, but I had not put a ton of energy into this until we found out we actually got the grant, but I'm all over it now. So we'll see what happens.
Stephen.
What is the geographic scope of contact tracing that's assumed for the program?
Ian?
So the footprint is in the Whitaker specifically. We've designed it for Whitaker residents, but it was my aspiration that we would act as a model for all neighborhoods across the city. So what I wanted to do is pilot this work here in the Whitaker so that we could make a compelling use case to the state as well as to philanthropy, why neighborhood associations should be leading this work. And so it makes a lot of sense when you think about community outreach, but the contact tracing piece specifically, I think is a really interesting one, because if you're focusing on these three high risk populations, right? Renters, elders, and unhoused individuals, I think the Whitaker can be a good sandbox to be able to test different types of contact tracing strategies and outreach too. And I sent a message to Brad about this, but there was a couple of end of year parties that happened in and around the University of Oregon. And so those are so those are the super spreader, my cat's doing all crazy squirrel hunting right now. Yeah, those were the super spreader sites. So we're seeing big old jumps in cases because of it. So yeah, I think that there may be other neighborhoods that could really jump on this pretty quickly.
Good.
So yeah, I think starting in the Whitaker, starting with our geographic footprint is what we're funded to do. But I had an eye and a mind for scaling this up and replicating it in other neighborhoods too.
I suspect the approach of going through neighborhoods increases the level of potential trust between the contact tracers and
Yeah. So with the extent of the growth of the contacts, that it's going to be a lot more effective if we can get people that are contacting folks who are in that group, whatever that group might be, for the same reason that you just said, Stephen, the trust that involves. I mean, there are some fairly intrusive questions we have to ask when we do this. Them. So yes, having people in the community, talking to people in the community could make a big difference.
So I was wondering, when you guys determined your high risk groups, is there any consideration, or would it be too late to also consider like bars or restaurants as potential groups for contact tracing? Because I know a lot of people are coming out, and that's sort of a way for people that are really in the neighborhood and people that are outside of the neighborhood to connect and spread the disease as well.
So it's too late to amend the grant as it was written, but I guess I'm not understanding what the group is. Is it you're saying that we should be contact tracing that one of our vulnerable populations are restaurant workers or people who are going to restaurants?
I would think so. Just because, yes. I guess more restaurant workers, because they have a higher chance of spreading it across both people that are within the neighborhood and people that are without. I guess people that are in the service industry within the Whitaker would be a more tuned way to say
that is interesting. We do have a large demographic of service industry workers here
that both live in the neighborhood. And I know that I've seen so many people, walking down the street, going to places like Grit and Meiji that aren't wearing masks. That I wonder what my chances are of just even interacting with the service industry workers. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think they could easily fall under the renter category. So I chose renters because they represent, more than 80% of the Whitaker's population, but also they're immensely vulnerable because they often work in industries that are service and industries that are highly prone to disruption because of COVID. And they're vulnerable because, at the time we wrote this, we thought that my cat is going to murder a squirrel during this call. That they were going to be out of their homes on July 2nd.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that could be one way that we kind of align and find an opportunity for service workers to to be part of the contact tracing.
Okay.
Any other updates, Mr. Ian?
I got some Dubcat updates,
All right.
but nothing else on the.
Nice work on the grant, Ian and Anon. That's a lot of work.
Oh, not yet. Just wait. We'll get there.
You want to give us some updates on Dubcat, and then we can take some open questions and wrap things up. Sorry. Ian?
It wouldn't be a WCC meeting without some friendly jostling from the chair. Yeah, just some
writing
really
each
quick
other notes instead this time.
Yeah, so just really quick, the Whitaker Community Art Team, which is the arts subcommittee of the WCC, got a grant through the Lane Arts Council, and that's to do our annual art walk through a hybrid of in-person and online. So that's going to be from July through December. We're going to need to do a submission of a W-9 and a grant agreement. And so I'll send that to Chris and to Katie. But it's, you know, it's pretty straightforward. We're going to need to W-9 some people. To be able to pay them. We're going to do 3 different pieces that are a part of the grant. So we're going to be doing kind of printed and online outreach. We're going to be doing studio tours. We're going to be doing kind of virtual tours of the neighborhood and the arts that are there. And then we're going to be doing temporary installations, visual art installations. And the 2 that we talked about are painting the little free pantries that are around the Whitaker, the 2 we have in the Whitaker, to make them kind of beautiful and bring attention to it. So the theme of the art walk this year is resilience. So it's going to be art that explores that theme. So, yep, that's kind of all I got on the Dubcat front.
Nice. That's awesome. Good job, y'all. We did get our 10, and thank you, Thea, for helping me pick these up, our 10 sandwich boards for our messages. They are pretty heavy duty. It says Whitaker Community Council at the bottom. We have a way to put inserts on both sides. I think with 10, as long as we don't put 10 out at one time, we'll end up not getting all of them stolen. So I think it's a good investment for the community. It cost us about $2,800 through
Sign Pro, but kudos to them because it was supposed to cost at least $3,000. So they knocked a couple hundred off for us, so we could do all 10.
Yeah, and then printed them out and gave us both sides printed for free, which was pretty cool. And we'll be able to hopefully use those. You can fill them with sand. And I was also thinking, you know, if people needed to check them out for whatever different or various things that go on, say Dubcat has a night, or we want to put some other messages, which I really think we do need to start putting our message out there. But we'll talk more about that in the future. We already have those messages, so we could just get to it. Other than that, go ahead, Thea.
Brad and I were talking, it would be really nice to possibly put a few out where we have one message on one side, and on the other side you have some whiteboard pins, and you allow people to put positive messages. And Dubcat could put the first thing on there to inspire people.
You know what I think would be really fun and made me think of, the Whitaker Market has started back up again. And last year we had our Whitaker booth at the market, and that might be a good opportunity to put something there.
Yeah, if anybody wants to join, we could, well, I don't know how y'all feel about going to Whitaker Market and tabling there. I mean, I wouldn't mind doing it, but I don't want to do it every week. But I think it would be fun if we wanted to get back into that. But other than that, the only other things, I did do a couple drive arounds, and I talked to some community members in regards to what's happening in the park today. the gentleman at Backyard Farmer noticed that out demons noticed that since they moved everyone out of the park, a lot of the people went behind his building and were camping kind of near the underpass. And then he also now has a guy in the green strip, and he's like, you know, I understand they have nowhere to go. I'm not going to be the guy that's going to go up and say, get the fuck out of here. He's like, I think I'll try to see what's going to happen tonight, and then maybe talk to him about like the repercussions of if you camp here, there's going to end up being a lot of other people. So I thought that was a good way of approaching the situation instead of being, you know, cut and dry. We want everybody out of here. But there's also more people that are moving down near the camp that we have sanctioned at the Skinner farm. There's probably about 8 or 9 tents down there already. And so that could be problematic. Katie?
The camp at First and Washington along the highway side, across the street from the park, has doubled.
Oh, yeah.
And then up at 6th and Washington, they're filling in under the off-ramp. They're filling in under there too. So I think it's good that people aren't going too far.
Yeah.
People aren't headed down to the river or off into the bushes.
It's just, you know, we're concentrating humans again during a time when we're needing social distance.
Yeah.
We're concentrating humans with no resources again, you know, in a place where, I mean, obviously we have the resources. We have ample areas. It's just, it's really sad. So I don't know. Along those lines, Thea and I wanted to actually talk to Anon about this. I was going to do some outreach within our neighborhood and take a poll of people and say, if there was a place for you to go, would you go? That's it. If there's any other questions that would be non-intrusive, not going to piss anybody off, and it's going to be done in like less than 3 seconds, I would like to talk to Anon about this. But I thought we could get some data and give it to the city about the people that actually do live in our neighborhood. Instead of asking them to do it, waiting for something, it's real easy to go up and talk to people. The other thing during this time too, we were talking about identifying leaders within these alternative communities so that when we do have things that we want to express to everyone, we don't have to go to everyone. We can go to someone that is, and I don't even like to use the word leader, but someone that other people look up to, you know, because in those communities, you do have someone that likes to talk a lot or something.
There always is somebody.
There's always that one person or something. I don't know who it is in this group. I think it's Ian. But
That's okay. He does it well.
It's Brad.
No, I'm just teasing. But no, that conversation spawned out of Dan, my neighbor, during the cleanup. He was talking about that. He said, you know, we need to identify some strengths with some of the people that are in the houseless community. You know, we're always identifying all of their weaknesses and everything that's going wrong in all of their lives. But there are some strengths, you know, out of adversity, you have some people that are keeping their shit together, you know, and we want to find them and we want to help them because it's getting really difficult to get through. There's a lot of people now.
I thought we could ask whether they want a wet or dry camp.
Yeah.
Because parks are considering allowing a wet camp.
And then one of the ladies in the community, she works at Bud's, she said, you know, Chris, sometimes people don't want to go to these camps. And I was like, well, why? And she's like, well, what if you're a woman with kids? So that's another question that maybe, you know, we need to put into this quick questionnaire. You know, if there was one with you and your children, would you go? You know,
a family camp.
A family camp. But I mean, these seem really easy, you know, really simple. So I don't know. Oh, Halo, go ahead. I mean, Vince.
Yeah.
I actually fed the camp over by 13th the other night, like last Friday. I just bought like $100 worth of Taco Bell. So I probably could have made like my money go a lot further if I would have just gotten groceries and done a sandwich line or something.
Right.
Maybe that would be a good opportunity to meet some of these people and try to figure out like who is the voice box for that particular community. If anybody's interested in that, let me know. I'd be happy to like buy some burrito supplies or some sandwich supplies and meet up somewhere and make like 100 sandwiches and go out there.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk more about this. We can send each other some information. Angie, you want to get involved with that too?
Yes, please. Me and my sister.
Awesome. Cool.
So that's actually something that Burrito Brigade already does every Saturday and Sunday. So maybe if that's something, instead of trying, I mean, we've talked about reinventing the wheel thing. So instead of trying to like do it separately ourselves, maybe a big group of us like that want to go together can go and do that all together.
Cool. And yeah, maybe incorporate, we'll ask them if we could incorporate that into it. It would be a good idea and a good opportunity, I gather. Okay. Well.
And the last thing is that Bruns is having a really hard time. Yeah. And you guys need to know it as a community. They have lost 3 windows in the last 3 months.
Wow.
And they're having discussions whether they even want to stay open. And that scares the living crap out of me as a community member.
Yep.
And so I have reached out to Chief Skinner. He is going to be talking with them. And I have reached out to Claire. We'll see what happens. I'm working with them. I don't think they will leave. They're exhausted like the rest of us right now. And they're having to deal with lots of shoplifting, lots of undesirable behavior, and they're handling it on their own. So I've asked Chief Skinner to reach out to them to see what they can do to help out. So
yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, in a community like this, what's going to end up happening is they're going to have to get security, and the prices are going to go up a little bit. And in a community like ours, where I would say at least 50% utilize SNAP benefits, that's going to take it's going to take some money out of their pockets or food out of their kids' mouths.
It's not like those people have many other options.
Yeah, but if they were to leave our community, could you imagine what insecurity it would be for food for most people? I mean, you'd have to take an Uber, cab, bus to go to the nearest place to buy food.
And they're willing to feed anyone who walks in and says,
"Oh yeah,
we're hungry."
Yeah,
so.
it's bad. Yeah, so whatever we can do to support them with this, but I think in the long run, they are going to end up having to get security. Just, it's the way things are going. Unless anyone has anything else, I do appreciate all of your time. Angie, thank you for coming tonight. And your sister, I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
Amy.
Amy, thank you for coming. I appreciate
Angie and Amy.
Susan, good to see you. I'm sorry we didn't hear anything from you tonight, but it's always good to see you.
Brad, didn't you have an idea for Ian?
What's that?
What?
Brad had an idea for Ian.
Oh, does Ian really want to be picked on right now?
He does.
I do have something I'd like to give away. I'd like to give away, but I haven't had any takers before. I have a, can I bring this up?
Of course.
Or not?
Yeah.
I have this giant movable wall that I had built some time ago that I have in a studio space that it belongs to me, but I'm not in that studio anymore. And I'd like to give it away to somebody for some possible art purpose, or someone that wants to use it in the Whitaker. It's big. It's like maybe like 8 by 8, something like that. It's made out of wood and plasterboard, and it's now currently housed at the Second and Blair Studios. You know where I mean?
Yep.
And I want to give it away because I can't use it anymore. I don't have space for it. And the people that are storing it would like it to move on. And so if anybody knows anyone or any organization that could use it, they'd have to come and get it and take it away. Let me know, like on the Whitaker page, or message me or whatever.
Susan, would it be fun in one of the parks for people to paint on, Ian?
It could be used in that way. It's very heavy, so it's not easily moved from one location to another. So, but if it
good for an art walk.
It could be used as at an art walk.
Yeah.
It does have wheels on it, so it can be pushed down the street, but it's big and tall and heavy.
We can put it
Could
in
it
my
be
house.
used as a free walk? Could it be used as a free walk?
Yeah. I'm just
a movable free wall.
A movable free wall. I would
move it around. Okay,
so get in touch with me and we'll figure it out.
Sounds good. Steven?
Yeah, I was just wanting to make sure everybody saw the letter that was in the Eugene Weekly about renaming the WIT.
Oh, yeah.
I did not see that, but I'll look it up.
Angie, do you have something?
I guess just best way to contact, to follow up on the Burrito Brigade, or other things we want to help with.
We send Angie our email. We'll send you an email and then
I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, perfect. I may have it.
Okay, and then Brad, did you want to give Ian some shit before we go?
Yeah, I don't know if everyone saw Emily Nyman's post in the Open Neighbors page about CPS coming into the bar looking for basically a girl who they thought was being trafficked here. And everyone's seen that we have girls being trafficked out of the shit show that this city and county created. And it seems to me one of our biggest longstanding problems is no neighborhood other than the Whitaker will ever take any homeless services. And that's why the city just said, all right, screw it, we're only going to put them in the Whitaker, even though they had a deal not to. And I think Ian, as co-chair of the NLC, it's time for him to play bad cop there and tell them basically, you know what, you all refusing to help, by doing that, you're condoning 14-year-old girls being trafficked in your city. So if you're good with that, keep up your stance. And if you're not, maybe step up a little bit and find a site. We'll know who condones trafficking by which neighborhoods don't provide us with a site in the next couple weeks for sanitary housing.
That's going to be a really tough commercial to sell, Brad. I don't know.
I just heard the campaign commercial for why it's the co-chair of the NLC and not Brad. It's the same reason why Cliff isn't Councilmember Cyrette right now. It's because certain types of leadership styles are not conducive for people liking you, right? So I'm working on it, because I'm more of like the tortoise in the race. I appreciate the hare mentality and energy, but yeah, this slow, deliberate, and thoughtful approach is the way that we make sure that we have a big tent where everyone's excited to work together. And people are excited to work together on sanitary housing. People are excited.
Tried shaming them too, and it doesn't work.
No, it definitely does not work. Shame is an immense human motivator, but not if you want people to voluntarily work together, right?
No. But the one thing I do have to say, Ian and Brad, Thea, and everybody on this council, we are setting the example for the other neighborhoods. We're not asking the city, we're not asking them to give us a model. We are the model. And I think that it's going to continue to work. I mean, if we have 12 people, I know. Brad, we're going to have more people housed in the Whitaker than anywhere else combined in Eugene. Mark my words. Forever. Forever. We don't do anything. We just continue to do what we do. I mean, we'll continue to fight to have everybody else share the burden, but we don't turn people away because somebody, that's unconscionable to me. It's just, that's not the way that I want our inclusive society to be here. We are what other people want to be. Go ahead, Amy. Okay. And I mean, and that's one of the things that, you know, having Ian, you know, installed in that strategic location is going to really, it's not just going to push them. He's going to demand that from them just from what we show with our accomplishments, I believe. And either that or I'm campaigning to take Claire's job in 4 years, one or the other.
And we do have street crimes working on the Jefferson crew.
I know. It's just, you know, that's the thing
to
too.
Rose Garden.
Let's be patient. Not that I'm super pro Popo. That's why Thea talks to them, not me. But let's give them a moment to see if something's going to happen, because the human trafficking that's going on is appalling to me, and it is kind of spiraling out of control right now because everyone's being separated. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult for them to control. So let's give them another, you know, a little bit of time to take care of it, because if not,